Cecilia Gidua, the Deputy Rep, UNODC, Ambassador Henrietta, and all of you, my colleagues who are here this morning. I'll be very brief and specific to the point. We're very happy about what's going on here. So the first thing I want to start with is to thank my friend, Professor Ludek Chwea, for, first of all, the excellent job he has done running the Kenya School of Government, which is not a surprise to anyone, because when he came here, everyone knew we had landed on probably one of our best professionals to run this institution. But most importantly, to walk in the path that he has walked for a long time, because he's formerly our Principal Secretary in the State Department of Correctional Services. And as soon as he left that place and came here, he did not forget the Correctional Services Department, and therefore he has continued in this relationship. So, Professor Chwea, I'm really grateful for what you have done, and on my own behalf and on behalf of my colleagues at the ministry, I promise that we will strengthen the relationship and make sure that the agreement we have signed today between yourself and the PAs is not just a piece of paper, but it's going to mean that we'll do a lot of work together. Secondly, I want to thank our partners, the European Union and the UNODC, for the excellent work we've done together. We've done a lot. We put up our courts in committee and the stuff that we are working on with UNODC, and UNODC has remained a very strong partner of the justice system in our country, and we continue to work very closely on a number of things in this department. I thank all our partners, the Regional Office for East Africa, from the Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice Program, Charity, Kawi, and the team that has been working with us. We are grateful and we will continue to work together. In fact, at the end of my remarks, I'm going to give you what I consider to be our newest and most important challenge on where we should go to from here. Now, our focus, if I have to be very precise, my dear friends, is reintegration of offenders into our society. That's really what we are here for, to ensure that as much as is possible, we reintegrate the offenders. Second time and third time and fourth time offenders are evidence that our work, our aftercare work, is not successful. The character of success in this work will be demonstrated first by a reduction of the repeat offenders amongst us. It will be demonstrated by how active the aftercare members become in their societies and how well they integrate and relate with other members of society. That's why I think that, one, I'm grateful because the attention that the executive branch of government has paid to the criminal justice system, working with a very strong collaboration with the judiciary, is now bearing new fruits, because this is the first time in the history of our country we've had that number of probation officers. When the exercise is done, when we are done with this phase of hiring, we will have recruited 1,000 officers, because we have 600 in, we're in the process of recruiting an additional 400. So we will have recruited 1,000 probation officers. I mean, we have never recruited that kind of number since independence at any one point in time. Why? Because we are interested in the reintegration of offenders. Secondly, I want to very sincerely thank our Chief Justice, Lady Justice Martha Koome. I mean, she has brought a fresh breath of air in the manner in which we are dealing with this work. And I love her new approach of the greening justice system and how we are going to work on community service. And the efforts that the Chief Justice and the Judicial Service Commission are putting in this surely must be commended. And I want to ask you, my colleagues, that Judge, please let the Chief Justice know that we are ready, prepared, and available to support that drive jointly with your DPP, because that is how we are going to decongest our prisons, as it were. We don't have the resources to keep the number of offenders that we have. Some of them we are keeping, if we have to be very honest with each other, I mean, we're keeping somebody for a 600 shillings fine, a traffic offender. We are keeping some matatu violator who parked on a yellow line. Are we serious, honestly? So that's why I hope that in the next phase of this decongestion campaign, Justice Githua, I'm saying this with a measure of humility because the Lord does not allow me to tell you how things are supposed to happen. I still keep my lane and we respect the judiciary. But I hope that in the next phase, when we start this work, between May and June, we will get out about 5,000 or so of those petty offenders and so on, so that we can move them into the community service program. And I'm confident that we will succeed because we have this program, because we have 1,000 probation officers, and because I would like to challenge us to move on to the next frontier of doing this work. And the next frontier of doing this work is building successful collaboration networks with social sector agencies that will work with us. I have been persuading the EU ambassador here to get some small budget and work with us so that we can pull in faith-based leaderships to work with us and give us a few volunteer probation officers to work with us. And I am going to talk to my colleagues in the State Department of Interior and Citizen Services. We pull in a few people from the national government officers, the chiefs and the deputy county commissioners to participate in this so that we back up the probation officers. That way then we'll be able to cover a wider section of society. So, PS, I want to ask you with the team that in the next 1 month, we should meet here and invite NCCK, the evangelicals, the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, and so on, to also come and sit with us to see how we can now build new partnerships between our probation department and our probation officers and these faith-based platforms, so that we can draw from them some support in reintegrating offenders. Because, you know, if we do this aftercare service in a collaborative manner, we will most likely achieve more. So Charity, in your program, what I hope we will do is we will now begin to work with these people, call them in and see how best, for example, the churches can contribute to us, how faith-based leaders can contribute to this program, how like now there are people we have in the field called the ACCs, the Assistant Commissioners, who work under the Deputy County Commissioners. I would like to deploy them more in working with the probation officers, because they are the cadre of people who are between the Deputy County Commissioner and the Chief. And these people, if we deployed another 1,000 of those to work with probation officers, we double the strength of the officers we have, and that way then we are able to also support the judiciary in the work that they are doing. I truly, truly hope that in the next phase, when we start this work that we are going to review in May, we'll be able to get about another 5,000 or more of those petty offenders into the community service program. And then with an increased number of probation officers, we are able then to decongest our prisons as we go forward. I'm very sincerely grateful to our partners for your continued support to the work that we are doing. And I'm grateful to the State Department of Correctional Services, my colleague PS and your team for the work that you have continued to do. However, I want to challenge us. Much as people argue that we don't pay attention to probation officers, I would also like, PS, that people are serious about performance monitoring. We can't just hire people and pay them salaries to walk around. As you train these people, Professor Chwea, let us also think about performance measurement and mechanisms of ensuring that we are getting value for time and value for money. You know, allow me to be candid on this matter. One of the reasons why we have also sometimes failed is because we have officers who are just loitering around. They're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Because if each one of us, if we are creating an army, we're not creating an army of idlers. We're creating an army of people who are going to deliver results. And the results then must be measured. I hope the head of probation and your colleagues, you will also, in addition to training, come up with a mechanism of telling me or filing, because we are paid by the public, we are paid by Kenyan taxpayers, and we should be honest enough and tell them what we have done with their payment. So that, what is the measurement of our success? How many people have we worked with? How much work have we done in terms of reintegrating offenders in society? Our job cannot be just, we hold these positions, we are probation officers, but at the end of the year, we have these problems. I imagine that the first thing we should notice with the 1,000 officers that we are going to have in this department is A, the judiciary will get all the reports they need on time, so that judicial officers will be properly informed in terms of making decisions. Because I can see clearly that, okay, fair enough, we have done about 14,231 reports. That's fine. But the pending ones are about 60,000. So you see, the question is, it's good that we have done so many, but what about the ones that are pending? And any reports that are pending means that there are people who are not being addressed. There are cases in which the judicial officers are not able to make decisions because we have not filed our reports. So let's be sincere one to another, even in a case like this. It's good to say nice things, but it's also it's good to say accurate things. Let's get some work done. And I hope that as we go forward, we are going to see new probation officers. The character of new probation officers are those who will file their reports timeously, accurate reports that will facilitate the judicial officers to make decisions. Because that is then how we will justify the taxpayers' expenditure on getting 1,000 people employed as probation officers as we go forward. So, and this is doable, my brothers and sisters. It's something that we can do. Let's rise up, dust ourselves up, and ensure that a new face and a new way of doing things is going to be seen here, and so that we walk the talk. Everywhere we go, every time we meet, our colleagues from the judiciary and our colleagues across the justice system tell us we need to decongest the prison services. No one knows this better than us because we deal with this on a day-to-day basis. One way of doing that is by having effective probation work being done and effective collaboration between ourselves and the judiciary on this particular matter. As we tell others to do their work, let us also do ours. It's a better message to our colleagues if we are going to be dutiful and focused in the way in which we are doing our work. So I ask that as we discuss this matter and as we launch this training today, we are not launching this blended program just for the heck of it. We are also launching this so that we have a blended program that is going to describe the new face of the probation department. If we are not going to have a new face of the probation department and a new way of doing things, we are wasting our time. And why should we waste our time? We have better things to do than waste our time. And worst of all, waste the public's money, if we are not going to change the lives of our people in the work that we do. So, PS, you must pressurize the head of probation. You must put pressure on the leaders of these institutions to ensure that we actually know whether or not our officers are delivering. And we can measure scientifically whether we are doing what we are supposed to do. The day the Chief Justice and the judicial officers tell us all the reports are in, the day we don't have 60,000 or so reports pending, then we will know we are getting some work done. I am happy about the number of reports that we have done so far. And actually, I sympathize with my good friend here because of sometimes what she has gone through. There are times when she doesn't have a budget, she can't even move around, she doesn't have fuel. We are trying to improve all that. And we think that even in the new phase of the leasing arrangement we are going to have, I promise you, and working with you, PS, that we will make these people even more mobile than they are right now. But we don't give you a vehicle so that you feel nice. We give you vehicles, I want results. That's the whole issue, I want results. So that then we can see value for the investments that the public is making in the work that we do. So finally, I'll complete with this assurance. You can expect and you will get 100% cooperation, collaboration, and support from us. Our development partners who are working with us, I believe you will find us worthwhile partners. Whatever resources you put here collaboratively with us, we will make very good use of it. And as always, we will continue to be responsive to your views and the way you advise us to work. For my colleagues in the department, you can expect and will get a lot of support, both from my office, the PS's office, and all of us who are working with you. And my sister, now is the time to prove that acquiring more manpower will mean something. And we want to see that something. And as I said, I hope and pray that within the next 1 month, I will be here to meet with the faith-based leaders, and we'll begin a conversation to build a collaboration between the probation department and our faith institutions so that we can begin to draw in communities. And I will tell Mr. Osia, our Secretary for National Administration, to begin looking for a way of drawing in the ACCs and of course now down to the chiefs to support the probation officers. We want to breathe new energy and new life into the probation department and the work that's going to be done here so that we can also respond to the good work that the Chief Justice and the Judicial Commission is doing. That way then we will decongest our prisons and have a better country as we go forward. May God bless you, and I declare the course officially launched. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
First, to congratulate you all. First and foremost, those who had the foresight to develop this training for probation officers, because professionalizing probation services is at the heart of justice reform. We need, as part of the very ambitious justice sector reform in Kenya, a functioning probation and aftercare service to decongest the prisons. So congratulations also to all the new probation officers that are here and that are online. I would like to extend my greetings to you from colleague to colleague. I have been a probation officer myself. You may be surprised about that. And I know all about the work, all its aspects, and I know how important that is for each of the people you're dealing with. You're a guardian angel, and many times it's in your hand whether a person gets back on the path or not. So the aftercare service, the community service, is very important, and that was stressed by the speakers before, to allow a reintegration, because many times the causes for falling into criminality are not removed. So the community is key in providing new opportunities, and the probation officer cannot do it on his or her own. I just talked with Dr. Matiang'I'S that we have to do more also to involve the communities in this and have maybe some volunteers assisting as well, because this is very much a community effort. The probation officer cannot do it on his or her own. So the EU is very, very proud that we can be part of this effort, and I think Kenya is at the forefront of developing this in Africa, and you can stand proud and tall, and the EU will be at your side to bring this to new heights. So I don't want to tell you what we have done in this aspect, but we have supported the rollout of the probation program here in Kenya, and we will continue. We will work with Dr. Matiang'I'S and all the others to make this a big success and to make sure that the probation officers feel fully integrated and are aware of their very important role for society. Because after all, the professionalization of probation officers will lead to make Kenya a stronger and more inclusive country. And this is what justice sector reform is all about. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you so much
for the very good decision of recruiting a number of 300 new officers. It is indeed historic because these officers were recruited in one go, and they will go a long way in addressing the deficit that has been experienced in terms of personnel in the probation and aftercare department. This will not only strengthen the staff strength in the department, but it will also go a long way in facilitating access to justice and dispensation of efficient and quality justice. As you must be aware, probation officers contribute immensely in the administration of criminal justice. They have a very important role to play. They assist courts in providing social inquiry reports, as well as pre-sentence reports that helps courts in making sentencing decisions. They also provide us with pre-bail reports that helps the courts in making determinations on applications for bail pending appeal. With this number of officers, it is now very easy to have those probation officers' reports filed in court within the shortest time possible, and this will in turn help to reduce congestion of prison remand facilities, because this is where most of the inmates are held awaiting trial. And if these probation reports are received in good time, it means that many of those inmates will be able to enjoy their right to bail and deal with their cases when they are out of custody. The probation officers also perform a very important role in the supervision of offenders, as well as identification of work sites. As probably most of you are not aware, but probation officers also double up as community service officers by virtue of Section 12 of the Community Service Orders Act. And they are therefore very important for the effective implementation of the community service program. They help in the identification of work sites and also supervision of offenders. And this is a very important program in the administration of justice because it helps it helps in the rehabilitation and integration of offenders in the society, especially petty offenders who do not pose any danger to state security or community peace. As the community, as a national committee, we have been trying our best to offer the best service in terms of the rehabilitation of these offenders. And the appointment of these officers will really enhance our program. In fact, when we conducted stakeholder engagement forums late last year, this was one of the concerns that was raised, that there was a deficit and there was a need for a pool of well-trained probation officers to help implement our programs at the grassroots level. This induction program will be very beneficial because from what I have heard, it's a very rich and unique program that will equip these officers with the skill set and the knowledge and the competencies and the attitude that is required for the delivery of service to wananchi and in the broader dispensation of justice. It will also help in the timeliness in terms of the decongestion programs that we normally undertake from time to time, because we require their services in the compilation of the social inquiry reports. And sometimes when this is delayed, it also delays every other aspect of those programs to the extent that we fall behind schedule. So, Bwana CS, this is a milestone, and we really thank the government for this decision. So far, we have conducted a few decongestion programs. We started last year in the month of May to September, where we managed to offload a total of 2,239 inmates from the prison system. In February this year, we conducted another decongestion exercise in 5 regions in this country. That is the North Rift, the South Rift, there was the Upper Eastern, the Lower Eastern, as well as the Central region. And we managed to have a total of 1,132 inmates also released from prison and placed under community supervision. In May to June this year, we have also scheduled another decongestion exercise, also targeting 6 regions in the country, starting with the Coast Province, the Western region, the Nairobi region, the Central and Southern Nyanza. There's one more county I seem to have forgotten, but there are a total of 6. And we expect with these new officers that that exercise will run smoothly and that we'll be able to complete it within the shortest time possible. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our development partners, more specifically the UNODC, for funding this induction program, and also for the support that you have continued to give to the agencies involved in the criminal justice sector, including the CSO. We are very grateful, and we hope for more collaboration and more partnerships in future. Thank you so much, and God bless you all. Thank you.
And for me, I'm truly glad and thrilled that this has come to fruition, because it's a process that began in 2019, following a training needs assessment. A training manual was developed, and this is what we are converting today into an e-learning content. And therefore, we have come a long way, but finally, we are at the end of this journey. And a new phase begins today when we roll out the 6 weeks program, which is an induction for our new officers. And indeed, we have 300 today who are onboarded on this program. We know that we have recently recruited 600 new officers, so we are going to be doing 50% in the first 6 weeks of these new officers. Our officers are drawn from a wide range of disciplines, mainly in the arts and social sciences, and therefore this program is going to be very helpful to induct them in the process of probation and aftercare, bearing in mind that we deal with individuals who are offenders, but also who have a responsibility to the society, including to the state. And therefore, the more we need to draw value from these individuals, and therefore non-custodial sentences is one of the things that we advocate for. Other than ensuring that there's less disruption, it also helps us to ensure that our prisons are not heavily congested. And because this is a partnership between ourselves, the State Department for Correctional Services, and the Kenya School of Government, I want to thank everybody who has been involved in making this possible. And I want to particularly note the support that and the time that has been invested by Dr. Christine Obongi, who's the Director of Probation. Thank you very much, Madam, because you have been invested in this. And of course, Dr. Josephine Mwanzia, the Director of Academic Affairs from the Kenya School of Government. You have been the champions of this process, and of course, under the able leadership of Madam Mary Mbau. So we want to acknowledge you and celebrate you, and it's a strong team of 3 women. I'm truly, truly happy that you are doing us great. Cabinet Secretary, for us to cement this relationship between the Kenya School of Government and the Department of Correctional Services, allow me to exchange the MOU with the Director of Kenya School of Government, because then that makes this a real official engagement, and going forward, we will rely on the Kenya School of Government to help us to induct all our new officers, and also the refresher for the ready in-service probation officers. So allow me, colleagues, to welcome our Cabinet Secretary, who is our chief guest, to officially launch our program. Karibu sana Waziri.
My sister and my colleague, our Principal Secretary, the State Department of Correctional Services.
Yes, thank you so much, Ambassador. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on behalf of UNODC. Today I'm speaking on behalf of Neil Walsh, our regional representative who couldn't be here. He is with your colleagues in Uganda, also delivering UNODC's mandate, so it's my pleasure to deliver those words on his behalf. I want to welcome all of you online. I think it's a testament to the blended approach of this initiative, and I thank you for being here. I know it's hard sometimes to connect and be engaged, but you are here in large number this morning. I wanted to give a little bit of background to our engagement in this work that and the growth as well of the probation and aftercare service. We started, and I think it was mentioned at the beginning, with in 2019 we did a needs assessment, and the process really started in 2019. And I want to thank and it was a privilege to walk side by side with Mrs. Mbau, accompanied by the EU in this process. Our journey began with the training needs assessment, which involved a real participatory process to really identify what were the training gaps for probation across the counties. And based on this assessment, really, we were able to make informed decision and informed decisions to make to make decision on how we could support the delivery of justice in Kenya. So we're pleased to support the department in developing the training curriculum. It provided us a framework. It provides everyone with a framework within which the induction training program for probation has taken shape. The associated induction training manual for probation officer will now support the induction at early stages of deployment and the next generation of probation officer getting started at the very beginning, giving good basis before people go on the ground and do their job is providing a toolkit for success. So I think it is very, very much welcomed by everyone. Now, the aim is really to equip the new recruits with the knowledge and the skills in probation practice in line with the departmental guidelines, policies, legal mandates, international instruments, and of course, best practice. We hear that the best practice is here in Kenya, so I guess it's also shaping best practice for the rest of the continent, which is really welcome. Last year, the Kenya School of Government came on board. We thank them profusely for that, and they added the expertise, and it's been an integral part in adapting the training for an online format. So in tandem, UNODC has helped to develop an enhanced skills training manual, which we plan to also validate in June 2022. This brings us to today, to 2022, whereby the department now has a comprehensive course that are structured to provide basic training for newly recruited probation officer, employing an innovative blended learning model and an enhanced training for experience. I think if we've learned one thing from COVID is that we can do that, it's efficient, we can roll out these initiatives, and we can get a yield on our investment by training way more people that we could have accessed before. So this is certainly in that spirit. The foundations are set for the future development of specialized competency and core curricular competency for the probation and aftercare service. There has been a large team working behind this. It seems like 23 students and a handful of other of us, but we know that there's many people out there that have contributed to making sure this be a success. And I would be remiss if I didn't underline the contribution and the tireless work of Mr. Pitt, Professor Dernescu, but of course Pamela Masese, Maria on our team, and Rebecca and Nyandiwa as well from our team, who have been putting the hands at work from our office. A little bit about EU and PLEAD. Of course, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't from the generous contribution of the EU, the flexibility, the responsiveness to the needs of Kenya, and the desire to partnership in such a productive manner through UNODC as well. So at the global level, obviously, UNODC contributes to the world of peace and security, and we have a mandate on human rights, and certainly our goal to make the world safer from drugs, crime, corruption, and terrorism is displayed by the work that we've been doing in Kenya. UNODC remains, as always, been a very proud partner of Kenya's justice reform agenda. If this service and this tool is an example of what is done and what can be exported in the rest of the continent, I think the entire PLEAD program is a demonstration of when we tackle every bit of the puzzle, we can do magic. Kenya is on board, is leading, and it's such a privilege for us to be part of that. I want to say to Ambassador Geiger, obviously, that the financial support, I know I keep repeating it, thank you, I keep repeating it, is key, but what we get from the EU in this partnership is certainly not only money, it's ideas, it's partnership, it's walking the walk hand in hand with us, and we are very much thankful for all of that. And I'm being told, my team are very generous with papers, and they've written quite a nice address, but I know we're a bit tight with time, and so I'll try to just wrap it up to say that in terms of the public service, we Commission has really found that the training and the most effective intervention for improving the competency of officer is e-learning. It's the growth of e-learning in the country, where the launch is certainly the breakthrough in the professional development for the probation and aftercare, and it's a growing workforce that needs that training, but it also reflects what's brewing in the country, how we're looking at new ways of doing business, of handing over knowledge, of getting professionals engaged in and owning their development as well. So I want to say thank you to the government of Kenya for their leadership, for their open-mindedness, their flexibility, and accepting to not only take the knowledge on board, but to partner so effectively with us, and for agreeing as well to, we heard about learning visit to the US, but certainly also getting people from the continent to come and see how it's done in an African context, what can we be done when we own, when we fund our response, and it's an example to be followed certainly across the region. I'll leave you with that, and I'm sorry for taking slightly longer than my welcome, but I thank all of your